This image from the next live-action Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew, teases the first ever live-action appearance of Cal Kestis.
But wait! There's more!
This image also connects directly to the Ahsoka series and what's coming down the road in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
This is where the fun begins.
Skeleton Crew begins in 36 days, with a 2-episode premiere on December 3rd. But even with this next Star Wars show so close, we know so little about this series. All we do know is that Skeleton Crew will follow these 4 teenage kids as they stumble upon a ship on their seemingly safe home planet and get blasted off into the dangerous galaxy. They will run into Jawas, pirates, and even a new version of a Jedi played by Jude Law. But that's it. We really don't know what the purpose of this show is, what story it's going to tell, and we do know that it will take place in this Mandoverse era, after the original trilogy, after The Mandalorian, after Ahsoka, but still about 20 to 25 years before the sequel trilogy. But that's it. We don't know anything else about this show. We don't know if other legacy characters will appear, and we don't really know how this story is going to connect to all the other stories around it.
Wow!
Okay, so this image does give us a connection to Ahsoka and to Cal Kestis, and it pretty much changes everything we thought we knew about this upcoming Skeleton Crew show. So let's talk about it. This character right here is Jude Law's character. His name is Jod Nawood, and like I just mentioned, he is a new type of Jedi, or at least that's what showrunner John Watts described him to be. Over to the right, this is one of the 4 teenage characters. His name is Neil, and let's be honest, he's already the GOAT. But the left side of this image is what's important today, as the writing on this wall is some sort of ancient Sith texts.
What did he say?
Yeah, you heard that right. Ancient Sith texts. However, the problem is no fans have been able to translate this writing. And trust me, I've tried. Some people believe they can put together a few letters here and there, but not enough to create a guess as to what this might say. But even without knowing what this says, we do know what it's referring to, as this is not the first time we have seen writing like this in Star Wars. Not only was it seen this year in Season 3 of The Bad Batch on Mount Tantus in the Vault, where Palpatine was doing some crazy cloning operations, but this ancient Sith text was also seen last year in the Ahsoka series. And that writing in Ahsoka has been translated. And what's even crazier about the writing on the wall in Ahsoka is where it's found. In the Ahsoka show, we are introduced to this new galaxy. A brand new galaxy in the Star Wars universe. And it introduces us to the planet of Peridia. This is where we get the first ever live-action appearance of Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. But some fans might have missed this writing on the wall. Look familiar? Now, like I said, this has already been translated. As this writing says, "Praise Kujet, ruler of all. May his reign last for..." and then it gets cut off. And that sounds great, but you might be sitting here going, Mike, who the hell is Kujet? How the hell does this have anything to do with Cal Kestis? Okay, hear me out. First, we gotta understand who Kujet is, and why the hell his name is written on a Night Sister temple in a completely different galaxy. Well, Kujet was a ZEFFO sage. Now, ZEFFO is just the name of his species. They were a very strong ancient species in the Force. However, they haven't been around for centuries in the Star Wars galaxy. But a ZEFFO sage is sort of like a ZEFFO Jedi. The word sage is kind of just a leader who can wield the Force. So Kujet was a Force-sensitive ZEFFO leader, and centuries before the prequel trilogy, he ruled over many planets in the Star Wars galaxy, including Dathomir. Dathomir is, of course, the home planet of the Night Sisters that we see throughout the Clone Wars, and most recently in the Ahsoka series. So the reason that Kujet is mentioned on a Night Sister temple all the way in a different galaxy is because he ruled over the Night Sisters for quite some time. And at the time, the Night Sisters were able to ride the Purrgil, as Morgan Elsbeth explained in the Ahsoka series. So that's who Kujet was. This ancient Sith writing in the Ahsoka series was referring to an old ZEFFO leader who ruled over the Night Sisters. Now, how the does that have anything to do with Cal Kestis making his first ever live-action appearance in Skeleton Crew? Great question. The ZEFFO are pretty much a brand new species when it comes to the Star Wars universe. Their only other appearances in anything Star Wars are the 2 Jedi games that follow Cal Kestis. Like I mentioned before, they were an ancient species who were able to wield the Force, or at least some of them were. And in Jedi Fallen Order, playing as Cal Kestis, you actually go to the tomb of Kujet on Dathomir, but you also go to the ZEFFO homeworld. And this is where everything ties together. This is why I believe Cal Kestis will make his live-action debut in the Skeleton Crew, because this is the ZEFFO home planet, titled ZEFFO. There are ancient ZEFFO temples all across the planet, but something looks very similar about this planet. So let's go back to that image. If you look in the background of this image, what nobody is paying attention to, of course there's this ancient Sith writing that no one can decipher on the left. You got the goat Neil on the right. You got Jude Law in the middle. But behind them is this weird mountain range. And we have yet another image that was released with this one. And at first glance, this image doesn't look like much. However, it's the same mountain range. These two characters are KB and Wim, two of the other main teenage characters in this upcoming Skeleton Crew show. But that just means they're on the same planet. However, this planet looks awfully similar to the planet of ZEFFO. So now all the pieces are coming together. If it looks like ZEFFO, smells like ZEFFO, tastes like ZEFFO, it's probably gonna be ZEFFO. Now you still might be saying, Mike, that's not nearly enough to connect Cal Kestis to the Skeleton Crew show. And I agree with you. However, the video's not over yet. Cal Kestis was a Jedi Padawan during Order 66. He was about 13 years old, which would make him, by the time of the Skeleton Crew show, around 43-ish years old. Now, Jude Law's character of Jod Nawood is probably going to be the same age as the actor Jude Law, give or take a few years. And Jude Law right now is 51 years old. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, Jude Law will be playing a new kind of Jedi, most likely referring to the fact that he looks like he's going to be a pirate. But if he is a Jedi, he's definitely old enough to be alive during the events of Order 66, as he would have been about 20 years old at the time, meaning both him and Cal Kestis were at the Jedi Temple at the same time. And if Jude Law survived Order 66, just as Cal Kestis did, it would make sense that their paths would cross, especially if Jude Law's character is bringing these kids to ZEFFO. Not to mention the fact that in the latest Jedi game, Jedi Survivor, Cal Kestis is now helping other Jedi who survived Order 66 stay safe from the evil reign of the Empire. It's possible at some point Jude Law's character of Jod Nawood and Cal Kestis' paths crossed, and the two friends could meet again in live action. And that brings us to how this connects to the future. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie just wrapped filming. It will release on May 22nd, 2026, and it will likely bring all of these characters from all these Mandoverse shows together, from The Mandalorian to the Book of Boba Fett to Ahsoka to even Skeleton Crew. And with an insane lineup of Jedi, from Ahsoka Tano to Luke Skywalker to Ezra Bridger to Sabine Wren to now Jod Nawood, you're not going to sit here and tell me that Cal Kestis, who should be alive at this time, is not going to play a very big role in the upcoming Heir to the Empire story, especially when Night Sisters have such a big involvement and his girlfriend is literally a Night Sister. With this image that was just revealed for Skeleton Crew, the Ahsoka series ending with Thrawn arriving on Dathomir with Night Sisters, and a direct reference to the ZEFFO, which have only ever been seen in the Jedi games, it seems like all the lines are pointing to Cal Kestis making his live-action debut very soon, possibly in the Skeleton Crew. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. And please, if you have any sort of translation for this writing on the wall, tell me in the comments below. Also, shout out to UV Clips for helping me come up with this incredible theory of connecting Cal Kestis to the Skeleton Crew. But speaking of Skeleton Crew coming out in 36 days, we are still waiting for the second trailer, as the first trailer blew some fans' minds. But don't you worry, I broke that entire trailer down in this video right here.